Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the Sky channel. Fun fact, this is actually my third time recording this whole video. Apparently the first two times while I was recording, the screen recorder crashed a few seconds before I said thank you so much for watching, and boom, there was no recording saved. And then second time, same thing happened. The first time I thought maybe I just forgot to hit record. The second time I made sure that I hit record and I did the whole recording, and right when I was saying thank you, it crashed, nothing got saved. So now I feel like a university professor teaching the same stuff again and again. Anyhow, this video is going to be about the Guardian Jungle Ants. I know it's a long time coming. I'm sorry for keeping you guys waiting, but we finally have it. But before I get started, I want to give a big thank you to Aptoide. You can get between 10 to 35% bonuses on in-game purchases, therefore getting yourself stuff much cheaper than you otherwise would. If you're interested, please check out the link in the description below of a video that describes the whole process. Feel free to join Discord and ask me any questions. Of course, I'll be happy to answer them as well. It's also worth noting that on March 5th, you actually get a 5% additional bonus on Aptoide, and on March 19th, you'll get a 10% additional bonus on Aptoide. So don't miss that either. Alright, back to the video. First of all, let's talk about the insect. And personally, if you're using the jungle ants, you're probably going to be using Guardian, so you want to be using the insect that actually gives an extra bonus when you're using Guardians in your squad. And that would be Rainbow Scarab. We all know Rainbow Scarab is a pretty nice option. It was recently released, and if you do have a Guardian in your squad, you get an extra normal attack resistance, which is nice as well. Okay, now we're going to go to the jungle ants. Let's start with the first one, and here it is. Okay, so this is a melee, so it's likely a frontline ant. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so skill number 3, skill number 4, skill number 7. We all know that they are better than Baron ants, but they're consistent with the newly released paid ants. Skill 7 is actually giving health, which is nice. Skill 1 is standard, and skill 6 is actually giving an extra combat speed as well. So that's, of course, really nice. I love it when ants give combat speed because of the importance of combat speed in battle. You're also getting a 45% health in skill number 6, which is nice because if you add that up with this one, you're talking a 90% extra health, which is lovely. Now we're going to go to the meat of stuff. Skill number 2. In rounds 2, 4, 6, and 8, which is pretty much every other round, starting from the second round, it reduces the damage taken by its own squad by 30%, hence allowing it to live longer, especially given it's a frontline ant. That's very helpful. And then when its squad takes skill damage, there's a 70% chance to heal its squad with a healing ratio of 220%. So a reduction in the damage taken, and then also a 70% chance to heal yourself with a reasonably high healing ratio. And my assumption is that within these 4 rounds, if you get attacked multiple times, each time you could end up healing yourself with that healing ratio. So that's pretty nice. Let's go to skill 5. 70% chance to deal 500% damage to one squad and then confuse it, which means that the normal attack target is random for 1 round. So 500% damage to one squad is amazing, 70% chance is great, and the fact that it's so much damage to a single squad, you could potentially end up killing the entire row and hence disabling their special ant, which is amazing. And then the confusion, based on what I heard from people in the tactics team, they said that it means that the enemy might actually start doing normal attacks against themselves. That's pretty cool. I mean, imagine if the enemy is using Weaver or Nibble Tree Ant with Wise Berserker, all of them actually increase the normal attack damage, making it pretty high. And if you are increasing the chance of them actually attacking themselves with that high amount of normal attack damage, that can be pretty deadly. Skill number 8. Every round, you increase the defense of all of your squads by 50%. That's a lot of defense, and it's increasing every round. You also increase the healing effect by 7.5%. Again, that's every round. And this effect is stackable and lasts until the end of battle. So that's really cool. You're talking about a plus 400% defense by the 8th round and 60% extra healing effect by the 8th round as well, which is amazing because of the fact that, Guardians are all about survivability, and this is actually giving a very high amount of survivability to your squad. So overall, you can see that this ant is a really nice frontline ant. There's the reduction in damage, there's the healing for itself, there's the possibility of actually making the enemy attack itself, like the enemy might just be doing normal attacks against themselves. And then there's the increase in defense and the increase in healing, which is amazing as well. So really nice ant. And now let's see how it works with the other jungle ant. And here is the other jungle ant. So those common skills are pretty similar, just that this is giving defense instead of health, and it's actually not giving extra combat speed, but the rest of the stuff is pretty similar. Let's go to the important skills. Skill number 2, 100% chance to deal 160% damage to all enemy squads, while our own squads suffer 20% of that damage. So that's pretty nice. It's a guaranteed hit, and then it adds up to about 480% damage to the enemy, but 20% of that 160% on each squad is actually done to each of our own squads as well, which is the only con. But if you think about it, there is a bunch of synergy that is involved. Remember the other jungle ant in round 2, 4, 6, and 8? Every time it took skill damage, and I'm assuming the damage that it's going to suffer for its own squads is also considered skill damage, it actually heals itself with a pretty nice ratio. So if you think about it, there's a chance that you might actually be healing yourself more than the amount of damage that this skill is doing to our own squads. So potentially, this can actually work in our benefit. And interestingly enough, skill 5 might work with this as well. So during the battle, every time all of our Guardian Ant squads receive damage 9 times, a random squad gains a shield effect, making it immune to the next damage taken and deals 450% damage to the attacker. Then the count gets reset after the effect is released. So essentially every time any of our Guardian squads receive damage 9 times, a random squad gets a shield, and then that shield prevents damage coming to them, and then it deals 450% damage to the attacker, which is a reasonably high amount of damage. Now the interesting thing is, I think that skill number 2 is doing damage to each of our 3 squads, and my assumption is that would also count towards this, so you're increasing the number of damage taken by 1 for each of our 3 squads. Therefore, there's a good chance you might end up doing that pretty high amount of damage to the enemy, which is pretty cool. Skill number 8, 80% chance to heal 2 of our random squads with a healing ratio of 180%, and also reduce the next skill damage taken by 25%. So a nice amount of healing and also a reduction in skill damage that they take, which is pretty nice. So you can see how the 2 jungle ants, they work really well together. I can see that there's a very heavy emphasis on survivability, increase in defense, reduction in the damage taken, and there's a pretty nice element of healing as well. Essentially, together, they do create a pretty nice mix of allowing you to live very long while also doing a reasonable amount of damage to the enemy. So if you were to ask me what would I think would be a good third ant to use with these, I'd probably say a damage dealer, because that's the ant that you're missing. Alright, so when we think about damage dealers, there's a few ants that come to mind. The first one is Hairy Panther. We all know that it does a lot of damage, right? So skill number 2, 60% chance to deal 400% damage to the enemy squad with the highest power, and then there's also a 60% chance to suppress them, making them unable to move. Then skill number 5 is talking about 60% chance to deal 400% damage to all enemy squads every other round, which is amazing. And then skill 8 is actually doing 400% damage to an enemy, and it's guaranteed, so it's happening every round. And if the target is under control, it's actually doing 500% damage. So a pretty nice damage dealer, and I think that can add a lot of value to the jungle ants because they are so focused on survivability. Having a nice damage dealer is always helpful as well. But other than Hairy Panther, I can also see Atta being a pretty nice mix, and I'll explain why. So in skill 2, you're getting a 45% increase in skill damage, and also every time you release a combat skill, there's a 60% chance to gain a shield, making you immune to the next damage taken. Pretty nice, especially given that there's so much survivability already in the squad. Getting extra shields and stuff is helpful as well. But of course, getting that extra skill damage is also helpful because that's what you need this ant for. Skill number 5, 80% chance, which is very high chance, to deal 450% damage to a random enemy squad, and then also increasing its own defense by 70% for 2 rounds which is stackable, so up to 140% defense. Again, another skill that's actually doing a lot of damage, but also increasing survivability, which is really cool. And then skill 8, in the first 3 rounds, converts 10% of our defense into attack and then deals 550% damage to all enemy squads. So that is a very high damage dealing skill. And as you can imagine, the more defense you have, the more damage you're doing. To make things even more interesting, you're actually giving yourself additional defense, as we talked about in skill 5, up to 140% defense. And then there's the other jungle ant that's also giving you 50% defense every round, meaning that you could actually make this skill even more powerful. So that covers this video. I'm glad that the screen recorder hasn't crashed yet, so I'm assuming that this time we'll actually get through. I actually decided to do a trick. I broke the video down into little pieces, so even if it does crash at the end, I'm only losing a little bit of recording and not a lot. But anyhow, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please like the video, please subscribe to our channel, don't forget to join our Discord and follow us on Instagram. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.